Music is the most important thing in the world. Music is the way that people connect, and you don't see that with other instruments. You don't see that type of historical parallel with that type of music. I think the guitar traveled with people through American history, and that's a real special part to be a part of. So when you pick up a really great guitar, you just pick it up and start playing. You get lost in the moment. You play a note, you play a chord, and it makes you feel something. And I feel that excitement build when I play a chord and I hear something I haven't heard before, and now I'm lost in that moment, and I'm playing, the guitar's giving me something back. That ball is rolling down the hill, and it's this really special moment where what's happening right then is only happening. And I have a philosophy called be here now. It's this moment that we're in, you know. This moment can't be anything else than it is. And when you're with a really special instrument, you know, that might be the moment that song comes out. And if you had picked up your guitar later, it wouldn't have happened. And had you picked up a different instrument, it wouldn't have happened. Be here now with that instrument, and I think a really great guitar allows you to do that. So what is a resonator guitar anyways? A resonator guitar is a type of guitar that two brothers came up with in the 1920s. So that was the brass band era, and we didn't have amplifiers yet. So these two brothers, the luthier brothers, came up with this idea to make resonator guitars. And what a resonator is inside of a resonator guitar is the resonator cone, and it kind of looks like a speaker cone, and it's made out of very thin aluminum. And because it's thin and it's metal, it transmits the energy from the strings into the guitar really efficiently. That makes it really loud. They also made it out of metal because they could make big tools that made metal guitars very quickly. That made them even louder. So they came up with these cones, they came up with this metal body, and they made a very, very loud guitar. Well, a few years later, guitar amplifiers came out. So all the jazz musicians who had bought these resonator guitars sold them so that they could buy guitar amps. The people who ended up with resonator guitars were blues musicians. They would use them to play on the street and in clubs that didn't have amplification yet because they were loud. And so for 100 years, they were really identified as like a blues guitar instrument. That's a really exciting thing as a builder, to see people take it and run with it. I think it would be hard to overestimate the influence of guitar on American culture. You know, as people travel, You grab your guitar and you go. Maybe you're working on a railroad, and you're traveling as you go. You're picking up this regional music because you have this instrument with you at hand, and I can learn from a guy who I'm working with or a guy that I meet. As our, country was forming, as these rural communities were connecting in this way, music is the way that people connect. You don't see that with other instruments. You don't see that type of historical parallel with that type of music. I think the guitar traveled with people through American history, and that's a real special part to be a part of. So I grew up in Elma, Michigan, which is about an hour west of here. It's a small kind of farm town. My dad's a pastor there, and my mom was a school teacher. And I ended up going to a high school here in Saginaw. I started being interested in playing guitar. I didn't really love it in the beginning. It didn't really feel like my thing, but I ended up started being very interested in how it worked. There's a bunch of pieces that go together. What are these pickups? What do they do? How do they work? And so when I was in high school, I put together a kit guitar. That was junior year of high school, and so you're starting to think about, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? And so I went online and I found this guitar making school in Phoenix, Arizona. It was a completely new experience in all sorts of ways. I went from small Midwestern town to Phoenix, Arizona, middle of the desert, run by a bunch of ex-hippies, and all sorts of different types of people. And they're teaching us how to make these instruments. And the instructors there were perfect. They were very aware that they were giving us a very basic groundwork so that we could go out and work. And I was like eating that up. In the beginning, I spent 2 years in a little basement room with no windows, no heat. It was just me. It was me failing, trying to figure out how to do this metal guitar thing on my own. And I always wanted it to be bigger than me. I didn't want it to be my show. I wanted to work with other people and have a team. I wanted to make instruments for people who really understood that they were being part of a bigger relationship. When I started making guitars, I was incredibly fascinated with the making part of it. How to make a perfect miter on a binding joint, or weighing brace stock and how that influenced an instrument. And all of those things are important parts of making an instrument. It really is. And I think it's our job as professional makers to learn that stuff and to execute it. We also have to be aware of the priorities, right? What is the purpose of this music tool? The purpose of this music tool is that someone picks it up and they play it and they hear a sound that they've never heard before, and that makes them make different musical choices. If I picked up guitar A and I played a G chord, I might hear something in it and that makes me choose a different chord or a different melody note, right? The way that the low end sings, maybe I go up instead of down. Well, if you pick up one of our instruments, maybe you go down instead of up, That's building inspiration into a guitar. That's building a tool that's going to affect someone's musical choices, there was that perspective change. Oh, this is about some kid from a small town in Michigan ending up in the Shenandoah Valley making these beautiful instruments with these beautiful people. It's something that not everybody gets to do, and I get to do it, and I'm really thankful for that. So this is where every guitar starts out. This is the sheets of steel. We've got pieces for every instrument starts here. So this is cut out on a giant laser machine. We've got relief cuts on the outside for flanging the tops and backs. That's how the tops and backs are joined. We've got the mule caster sets here. This is all 22 gauge stainless steel. We use stainless steel because it sounds really good. Mild steel and stainless steel actually sound different, and then we can put a patina on this, but it won't rust. So the guitar you get is the way that it'll stay. So the resonator guitars are soldered together. There's three main types of how to join metal. Soldering, brazing, and welding, and we use soldering because it's the lowest temperature form of joining metal. The metal has to be really thin so that it sounds good, but the trouble with that is if you add too much heat, then it'll warp. So we use soldering with these joints so that the steel doesn't warp. So after the body's made, it goes over here to the neck station. So this is where the necks are made and attached. And they all start out like this, like a block of wood. This is a particularly nice piece of wood. So we cut and join the headstock and the heel, use a stacked heel. And then it goes on the CNC machine and we get this. This is one of our neck blanks. These are slots for the truss rod and graphite rod reinforcements so that the neck stays where we want it to stay. So this is how a neck goes on a resonator guitar. This is the neck stick, very technical name. It's glued into the heel there, and this acts as like the backbone of the guitar. So this is what's going to end up taking the structural load off the body so that the body can just act as a sound producing mechanism. So it goes through here, and then with a couple different wedges and screws, that gets attached to the body. So this acts as just the shell so that the resonator cones are producing the sound that's reflecting off the back of the guitar, and that contributes to the tone of the instrument. So both these gentlemen are fretting and setting up and wiring the instruments, and if guitar making is 500 steps, these are 400 of the steps. It's all the really tiny detail work that you don't know is involved with making an instrument, but you can feel it. When you first pick up an instrument and start playing, how that board is leveled, how the frets feel, how the edge of the fingerboard feels. These are all the subconscious things that make a guitar feel comfortable, and now you can just play. Our job is to be as transparent as possible. So you're not thinking about the setup, you're not thinking about how it just feels comfortable, and now you're playing music. After the guitar is all strung up and checked out, then it goes in the cases and shipped off to their new homes. So this guitar is the first 12-string guitar that we've done, and it's going to a musician, Chris Turpin of Ida May, and he has a Mavis, but this is twice the Mavis. It's a 12-string Mavis, and it's a tool that he wanted, and it gave us a little extra push to figure out the things that needed to be figured out in order to make it happen. And having the team of guys that we have here allows us to be able to do that. Strung it up.
I strung it up in front of the camera. You
impression.
played it in front of the camera.
The pressure. Oh, and this is standard tuning, so. Oh, it's yeah.
You can edit it, right?
Look at Ken. Oh yeah.
I don't
Come on,
play.
Jerome, get in here. You can play. I want to hear the Jerome licks.
Yeah.
There we go, brother.
Just the same licks over and over. Every
Hey, I
day.
got my 3. Yeah, these guys have
There's so many little things that are involved with creating something new. You need all these brains in order to figure it out, and they crushed it. This is not something that I could do on my own. I pushed this off. This is an idea that's been on the radar, but having the group of people that we have here now, we can do stuff like that where a musician wants an inspirational tool and we can make it happen for them. So this is kind of the final moments. It's being strung up, it's being finished, and then we're gonna take it to Nashville and deliver it to Chris and witness that really exciting moment of a musician getting something that is gonna inspire new songs, inspire new albums, is gonna take them new places, and it's really special sharing it with these guys. So we are on our way to Nashville to deliver the first 12-string Mavis guitar. So that's a really new instrument for us. We've never built anything like that, and it has a really distinctive sound. And we're getting it to a musician who is gonna take it to like some really amazing musical places. Chris and I, the customer, really developed a relationship through the build process, and that's what this is really about. Building things for people and connecting that way. And for me, being there in person and experiencing that moment of excitement and inspiration, and seeing the look on his face and seeing that moment when he hits that first chord and the excitement of the potential that could happen is really important. You can't get that online, you can't get that through email, so we're driving down there with the guitar and we're gonna hand it to him and experience that moment together. How are you, Ian?
Finally!
Yes, finally! How are you? In person. Okay, so earlier I thought that like I wasn't gonna be nervous and anxious, but I really am, like, surprisingly so. Now we're in the moment, and now it's like, you know, you put so much work and like thought into it, and it is such like a big thing. It's like you had this idea, and it was like, can we make it happen? Can we do it?
I didn't even know, yeah.
And then it's like here, so.
It's wild. I cannot believe it.
The river.
Oh my word. Oh my god.
How's that top in person?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's the right sound. Guitars make music. Music is about people. And the guitar is that mechanism that connects people. I can make something that connects people that otherwise wouldn't be. And I see those things over and over again in what we do. Someone picks up one of these instruments and plays a song or writes a song inspired by what they hear that they wouldn't have otherwise. and then somebody hears it and it connects with them, and then they're singing along with it at a concert, you know. So when I started Mule, that was really part of what I wanted to do. I wanted to make instruments for people who got that part, you know, that I'm gonna get this instrument and connect with people in really substantial ways.